I come in here all the time. It's no question that I obviously am an avid supporter of African Americans. Like, I'm black. Come on. For the people that think I'm not black, because I heard a lot for the Carissa Thompson video. I've seen a lot of people pretty much call me white. I'm not. But here at the Unpopular Podcast, we support anything black. That, of course, deserves being supported. And I've talked about this on several occasions. And I have been a very loud proponent of there needing to be more minorities, more African Americans, more women in ownership position, whether that's basketball, football, and so on and so forth. And I've said on this podcast on several occasions that there needs to be more African American and black representation when we talk about ownership. There is an owner in the NFL that is African American, and his name is David Tepper. He is the owner of the Panthers. I think he became the owner in 2018, I believe. And while I champion African Americans in ownership and champion African Americans in sports in general, and I know how important it is for representation in ownership, not just on the field or on the court, I have to be honest about what we're seeing. Not everyone, black, white, anything, not everyone has excelled in their job. I can be a advocate for black people in higher positions, but you have to excel in those positions, and you have to be good in those positions, or you're going to get what we're seeing in Carolina. So Carolina fired Frank Reich. Halfway through the season, with a rookie quarterback, you fire your head coach. And the reason why I kind of started with David Tepper and ownership is because this is like their sixth coach, I believe, since 2018. Since David Tepper has ownership, let's say, of the Carolina Panthers. Let me first say, I don't think, I've said this before, there are people that are better at head coaches, or there are people that are better at coaching positions compared to like coordinators. For instance, Nathaniel Hackett. I think that Nathaniel Hackett is much better as a coordinator than he is at a head coach. And I understand a lot of people praise what Frank Reich did and his contributions to the Philadelphia Eagles for ultimately winning a Super Bowl, and his work with Nick Folk and not Nick Folk, Nick Foles. I'm sorry. And I understand it. I understand why people think that Frank Reich is a perfect candidate to be a head coach. I am of the belief and of the mindset that you have to show me before I can just anoint you something. Again, there's a difference between being a coordinator and being a head coach. There's different responsibilities. There's different heat that you get once you lose something. Now, there were obviously reports of saying that Frank Reich was also supportive of the firing. He didn't really want to be the head coach anymore of the Carolina Panthers. But to me, the issue is much deeper than just a Frank Reich issue. Adam Schefter went on ESPN and said that every year there's about six or seven coaching openings a year or every offseason. People get fired, people get let go, this, that, and the third. And he would bet the over this year. Now, we know that there's multiple teams that could be out of a coach. Washington, Ron Rivera, his days might be numbered when we talk about head coaching job. Brandon Staley for the Chargers, possibly Bill Belichick and the Patriots. You know, but this goes, or this is a much deeper representation of a team. Let's not get it confused, man. David Tepper has not done a good job with the Carolina Panthers. The fact that since 2018, you've had, I think, 6 head coaches, now 7 starting next year, is insane. On top of that, you have a rookie quarterback. While, yes, I think that, and this is obviously nothing that he could do, but I think that CJ Stroud was also a factor of Frank Reich getting fired. Because you see how good CJ Stroud has been playing compared to how poor Bryce Young, who was ultimately the number 1 overall pick, they traded up to get him. And David Tepper even doubled down, I think, yesterday and said that he was the right choice. Okay, cool. But I think that CJ Stroud being much better than we thought he would be in a much faster rate than Bryce Young, I think that definitely was a factor in Frank Reich being fired. And while I have my doubts and my issues about Frank Reich being a head coach, I think I can honestly say that Frank Reich, in my opinion, didn't deserve to be fired. While yes, I understand that it's painted as it was mutual, I don't think he deserved to be fired, because look at this Carolina Panthers team. I understand that maybe a year or two ago, we were saying how that would be a destination, and that is a team that could possibly, all you might be a quarterback or a piece or two away from contending for a Super Bowl or contending in at least the NFC South. But look at this team. The offensive line, that's probably arguably the worst offensive line in football. You don't really have any weapons on the outside. Adam Thielen hasn't really worked out. The defense is okay, but kind of like we say a lot with these type of teams, the defense plays so much because the offense just can't keep up. And of course, you have Bryce Young, who has been much slower to developing than you thought he would be. None of that is Frank Reich's fault. Now, yes, I do think that Frank Reich has his issues. And I don't know if he is good enough to be a head coach, as we saw what's happening with the Colts. But even in that, I look and say, okay, well, look what the Colts gave him. You had an aging Matt Ryan. Like, you had Nick Foles. Like, what are we doing? I think this, and this is where I'll end, because I think just 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, we were saying that the Carolina Panthers is a ideal destination to go. And we also said that, of course, when we talk about head coaching, obviously. And we also said that, shouts out to Adam Schefter, he said that 6 to 7 head coaching positions more than likely will be open this offseason. Well, I think when we talk about all the teams that could get a head coaching job, I think the Carolina Panthers are one of the last, like not even close to a head coaching destination because of the impulsiveness of David Tepper. And while I come in here and champion African Americans in managerial roles and ownership roles, I also have to be fair and say, if you haven't been doing the best job, bro. Impulsive is the last title that you want as an owner, especially an owner with a job position opening. Oh, yes, somebody's obviously going to take the head coaching job because people are confident in themselves. And there's always that one person that thinks that I can change something around. But that's very hard to do when you have an owner that is as impulsive as David Tepper. 6 coaches in in 5 years is crazy. Especially with a rookie quarterback. Which is also the fear that you run into as a rookie and as an NFL player, as a basketball player. We talk about this all the time. Fit matters. And I'm not saying that if you put Bryce Young on the Chiefs, he'd be Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it's important who you're get paired with as far as a coach, an ownership, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. That's important. Because any one of those are off, you have a Carolina Panthers situation on your hands. This is obviously coming after, of course, the Panthers yet again lose to a team that they shouldn't have lost to. I know the records say it, but the Titans aren't that good this year. The Titans have issues of their own. I understand that this topic, and this is of course in closing with this situation. This topic isn't mainly about Frank Reich getting fired. While of course that is the linchpin, and that's what we're talking about. What we're pretty much actually talking about is how ownership can ruin a good thing, can ruin a situation, and how ownership can play a major part, and honestly the biggest part in the development of a team. Of course, you need the players, you need the coaches, you need the coordinators, you need the GM. Nothing goes down without ownership say so. And as we've seen, I'm not going to say a storied franchise, but once a great destination to go to is now probably one of the worst destinations to go to with everything going on. And on top of that, now that I think about it, and this honestly will be the last thing I say about this topic, another reason why the Panthers aren't a great destination is because unrealistic expectations are now put onto the next coach. Again, CJ Stroud plays a huge part in this. Obviously, what can you do? You want to play as good as you can, but CJ Stroud playing this good and Bryce Young being the number 1 overall pick put huge expectations on his shoulders. And now David Tepper expects the next head coach to pretty much quote unquote fix Bryce Young. But what if that doesn't happen? What if Bryce Young is slow to develop? What if Bryce Young looks the same next year as he did this year? That means your coaching reign is the life expectancy of your coaching reign is or coaching life for the Carolina Panthers is pretty much tied to the development or possibly lack thereof of Bryce Young because of what we're seeing from CJ Stroud. Yeah, man, it's tough, man. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.